Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm missing the last two days. I really want to be here teaching you guys. I really want to be here doing chemistry. We've got a fun lab today. I'm gonna miss it, but you're gonna get to do it, which is really cool. Your lab today involves this piece of equipment, which is a piece of filter paper. And what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be studying the composition of marker ink. So marker ink is a mixture of many chemicals. And it turns out that, as we've learned in the videos, and as we'll talk about in class next week, mixtures are substances that can be separated or pulled apart relatively easily without using any special chemical means. Okay, so we're gonna see today that a marker actually can be separated very easily. The way you're gonna do this in the lab will explain all this, but you're gonna start with a big piece of filter paper, and you wanna put a hole right in the center of the filter paper. So you're gonna poke a hole through there. You can use the pencils. I've left pencils here. And then around the hole, you wanna draw a circle about, I don't know, 2-3 millimeters, maybe a centimeter around. And then around the edge of the filter paper, you wanna draw another larger circle, maybe 1 centimeter from the edge, okay? And we need a second piece of filter paper. So there's smaller filter paper that's here. And what you're gonna have to do is build a wedge out of this smaller filter paper. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna take this filter paper and I'm gonna cut a triangle out of it, right? And I might have to make this shorter. It's my first wedge, right? Actually, I know I'm gonna have to make this a little bit shorter. Okay, let's see if this works. And I wanna, so let's poke my hole in my big piece of filter paper. So I'm gonna poke my hole through the middle. Okay, so I've got a nice sized hole there. I'm gonna take my smaller filter paper and I am going to fold it up so it's wedge-like. And this actually, and you'll have to mess with this, but you need this piece to fit in your hole. The top of this wedge should fit in your hole like that. And then this needs to sit in a petri dish. So this wedged piece of filter paper is actually holding up the big piece of filter paper. So this will have to be, you have to mess with this. My piece is uneven, so my bottom wedge piece is uneven, so I'm gonna try to even it up. See if that helps. Let's flare this out a little bit more. Okay, up. Okay, part of my problem, there we go. And so you can see, I had it. You're gonna have to mess with this. If the really large piece of filter paper is too large and your wedge doesn't hold it, as my wedge is not, what we'll do is I'll leave smaller filter paper. This is the really large filter paper, 15 centimeters. You can try building your circle with a smaller piece of filter paper. And let's see if this works. Better. So in my smaller piece of filter paper, I've got my hole. Let's get rid of that large piece. And let's see. And of course, the further I pull this down, the more stable it is. So let's pull that down a little bit more. And you can see that now I have my filter paper in a wedge. So I'm gonna have my ring, my first ring of pencil there, the outer ring, and then what you're gonna do before you set up the wedge you want to take 2 different color markers or 2 different types of markers. I'll have Expo, I'll also have Sharpie, and you want to put 6 dots on that inner circle with the black ink. Pick a different marker and put 6 more dots around the black ink, okay? You're gonna fill this with water, the Petri dish, and what's gonna happen is the water is going to rise up the middle piece, and it's going to hit this piece of filter paper, and then it's gonna spread out. And as that water spreads out, it will separate the ink. And what you're gonna see is a black ink and even blue ink is actually a mixture of colors that you didn't realize were there. And so this is our first introduction to taking a mixture, right? A combination of different substances and separating it. So if you have any questions, the lab will have all the write-up and in the explanation, but this should be fun for you. If you, I've left these 2 instead of Petri dishes. You can also use those to set up the mixture. Everything will be along this, in this corner of the lab table. I'll put everything here so you guys can get started when you come in, and that will be your lab for today, so have fun.